what I realized is the money is always patient. It always has the last look. The money always is able to negotiate the best deals. The money is the money is in the money.
Real Estate Investing Profits presents Profit Masters with your host, world-renowned real estate coach and investor, Corey Boatwright. Now, strap in and get ready to learn elite wealth-building investment strategies taught by 6- and 7-figure house flipping masters as they reveal their best real estate investing profit secrets to you right now.
What is going on, my party people? This is Corey Boatwright. I am your host of Real Estate Investing Profit Masters and the founder of Real Estate Investing Profits. And man, I am excited to bring to you an incredible interview with a good friend of mine, a fellow mastermind member, and really just my hero. I mean, he's just my hero. He's such a great person, and what he's doing right now, a great giver, but he's also just crushing it right now, doing exactly what I want to be doing for the future, and that is multifamily investing. And he is crushing it right now and just is about to close on, get this, let me get a drum roll, on a big, huge multifamily apartment deal and going to make millions of dollars as profits, right? Millions, to the point where he can just about retire if he wants to. You're going to love this interview. It's incredible. We walk through kind of what the numbers look like. He's very open about that. I'm excited for him, and I know he's very grateful for the opportunities that he's been given. He's got an incredible story. Him and Shelly and their whole family are incredible. I hope at some point you'll get a chance to meet these folks. They're really just big givers and got big, huge hearts, and I can learn a ton and do learn a lot from him. In fact, I've sent him over a couple apartment deals just since we've had this interview, and guy is just incredible. So make sure you pay attention to who we call the big kahuna himself, Mr. Corey Peterson. All right? So pay attention because you're going to love it, especially if you're interested in multifamily investing apartments. All right. So text the word profit to 38470. Text the word profit to 38470 to get your ultimate real estate investing quick start guide auto-magically downloaded to your phone. If you're interested in real estate coaching, particularly wholesale coaching, my team, we do a little over 100 wholesale deals a year, often doing 6-figure profit months, which is awesome, right? And love to talk to you about what's working. We do over 30,000 pieces of mail a month. I can tell you how we have things set up. It is a machine, and it has particular sets of kind of processes that it's important that you follow to get consistent results, right? How many calls come in, and all those calls don't necessarily mean they're all leads. So how many leads come in, how many leads turn into appointments, how many appointments then turn into signed contracts, how many signed contracts actually get to the closing table, right? We break it down on those KPIs and love to talk with you and see where you are in your investing. So go to Corey's Coaching, CORYS coaching.com, or go to realestateinvestingprofits.com/coaching application. Watch the video recorded for you on the homepage, and I'll ask you a few questions, and then we'll go from there. All right, see if you're a good fit. Here we go. Mr. Big Kahuna himself, Corey, the amazing, phenomenal, big Kahuna, Paradise is Possible, Peterson. Corey, the Big Kahuna. What's going on, my man?
What's going on, buddy?
Hey, what's up? Where are you calling in from?
I'm in Phoenix today. I'm actually from the home office. So
Phoenix. Is it like 127 degrees dry heat there?
For like 10 days in a row.
It's pretty hot here, too. It's like 95 here in OKC, and that's like humid.
That's so like 99% humidity, right?
Yeah, it's pretty insane. It's like where they get on the news and they put the egg, because it'll hit like 102 today, probably 103, and so they'll put an egg on a car and it'll just fry it.
Well, we don't even sweat in our state, so because right. It's already evaporated. All you just see is salt lines.
Right. It's pretty interesting how the difference in temperature there in the way it feels. But hey, man, I love Phoenix. You know, we have a lot of friends out there in Phoenix. You and I have a lot of mutual friends out there in Phoenix.
Yeah.
So it's an incredible place. I know that you've crushed it with investing out there, but you also do investing all over the country. And what I'm super excited about having you on here is you are my hero. You know, right now it's I'm in that stage. You know, Sean and I, my business partner, we're in a stage right now where we want to be doing what you're doing, right? I know you're working with Jack, but basically transitioning from wholesaling to multifamily and doing it in the smartest way possible. And I know that you've already crossed that, and you're working on pretty much the deal of the century of your lifetime, the biggest one, and the potential for it is just incredible. Let's just call it. It is successful. And so I'm excited to talk to you about that. Before we get into some of that, who are you? Tell us a little bit about you and what got you involved with real estate investing, and what area that are you focusing on right now?
Yeah. So I'll just give you my quick little who the heck am I? I mean, I'm a rags to riches real estate prodigy that I just came from. I came from nothing. I grew up in a small town in West Plains, Missouri that no one would ever know. I grew up on a farm. And like many people, I didn't get a degree. So when you don't get a degree in school, you got to manage some stuff or sell some stuff. I chose to sell some stuff, which was used cars. So on the mile of cars in Norman, Oklahoma.
The big Kahuna.
And so, but anyways, fast forward, I actually read Rich Dad Poor Dad like a lot of people. And right there, I knew that that's exactly what I wanted to do. And I knew real estate was the key for me. Right. And so I went on an endless journey to educate myself, find right mentors. And I started off doing started off wholesaling because I had no time or no money and no credit. And then I eventually got into flipping. And how I got into flipping is I learned a secret called OPM, other people's money.
Yes.
And in that one thing, the only thing I've ever been I can say I'm good at is raising private capital. And I got really good at it, so good that I got doing fix and flips. I mean, a whole bunch of them in Phoenix area about in that 2008, 2009. We were killing it. Well, we did so well that in like 2010, we had all this money lined up, like, a couple $1 million of private capital lined up saying, place me.
Right.
And all of a sudden I come up with my first big hurdle that was a new hurdle for me, is that it was harder to find REOs and short sales. And I didn't know about marketing back then. All I knew is I knew how to get on the MLS and find deals.
Right.
For me, I'm a creature that I take the path of least resistance. So when I saw my deal flow shrinking, I still had all this money behind me saying, Corey, you're the man.
Right.
I remember driving by an apartment complex, and I used to always drive by these complexes and say, I wish I could own an apartment.
Right.
And that's all it was a wish. I don't know what day it was, but one day in that drive, I drove it and I just changed my mindset. And I asked myself, how can I own an apartment complex? Right. And once I put it in that frame, all the fireworks, my brain started working, and I went and found, went to Barnes & Nobles, read all the multifamily stuff that I could, yes. Educating myself. You're probably the same way.
Yep,
right?
Same thing, yep.
And I met my first mentor, Dave Lindahl, and actually flew all the way to Boston just to have lunch with David. And David actually is authoring my foreword of my book that I have coming out. And so it's really cool. And I learned a system. And so that was in 2010. In 2011, I bought my first apartment complex. And I raised $1.4 million in private capital.
$1.4 million. So up to that point, had you raised that much money before?
No, this is actually a good story. I need to tell this story, how it all happened. This is crazy. This is my first deal.
Right.
Do we need to ask some more questions? Because this is a good story. You tell me.
Well, one of your biggest influences was, we'll shelf it for just a second. We'll come back to it because I definitely want to hear it. But one of your bigger influences is Rich Dad Poor Dad. Said that was the same thing for me. It changed my mindset. changed everything. And then Dave Lindahl was actually in multifamily. So want to hear more about that mentorship there.
Dave,
yeah. Did you have before you kind of got into this whole real estate game, did you have a breaking point? And I always like to ask this question for my guests because I think some people that are listening right now, they either are working part-time jobs or they're working full-time jobs and they're doing real estate investing. And to do it full-time, right? It's a risk. There's a sacrifice involved, and there's that moment where you go, I think I can do it, right? But there's a breaking point for a lot of people where they're either sick and tired of their boss or something happened. Did you have that moment in your life?
Oh, yes, I did. Oh, yes. So for me, I started 2005 doing fix and flips, or doing what I thought. I got a second loan out of my home. And I was in Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma. We bought 3 or 4 rental properties. Then all my money ran out. And that was my first hurdle. So I got a job as a financial advisor. And the whole goal was just to make some more money so I could buy more real estate. I was kind of doing it on the side.
Right.
Well, I got transferred to Phoenix. That's how I came to Phoenix as a financial advisor with Edward Jones.
Wow. Okay.
Had about one good year, and then the market crashed. And so every investment that I'd made was just, went down in the toilets. And I remember sitting there at my office. Actually, I went going in the office one day, and I looked at my wife, and I just had this feeling, because I had an interview with my manager, and I just told Shelly, my wife, I said, honey, there may be a good chance that I get canned today. I get fired. Because my heart wasn't.
That's not a great conversation. Did they have kids? How old were the kids at that point?
I had 2 kids. I had a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I can't imagine.
So I'm sitting there.
She's like, we may lose the job. So what did she say?
Well, she was busy, so she just left and went to work. So as I go into the office, I look at my secretary, and I know the call's been made, right? Like, it's on. Ooh. I'm getting canned today. Oh. She can't even look at me. So yeah. I still have 2 hours. I have 2 hours before he's showing up. So I'm sitting there in my office, and I'm having this discussion with myself. And it really is that discussion of, where do I go next? Like, what's plan B?
Right, what's plan B? Right.
And so I equate it to this. I always say there's this little boy in me, little voice that was like the little kid that used to dream big and wild and believe that he could do anything.
Right.
And that kid was wrestling with the 40-year-old man, behind the desk, of why he couldn't do it.
Sure.
And really,
everybody struggles with that, Corey. I mean, everyone struggles with that. I sure.
Yeah. So it was really, the question was, can I do real estate? Can I be successful in it or not? And really that's the quintessential time. And I got laid off. I went to Starbucks. I sat for an hour and a half with that question. And I finally made up my mind. And what I like to say is, I made the most gut-wrenching, deep down, honest, commitment to myself that I was going to do whatever it took, as long as it was legal and ethical, to be successful in real estate. I mean, I said, I'm willing to do anything. And from that day on, so I'm like, for 5 minutes, I'm like doing Rocky, right? And then I get in my truck and realize, sheer terror falls on me. I've got to go sell my wife this dream now.
Yeah, exactly.
Because what's at stake? I mean, it's real stakes here.
Yeah.
my kids, my marriage.
Sure.
I mean, it's reality.
Yeah, sure.
And so luckily I have a great wife. I mean, I have an awesome wife. She's an amazing partner. And I told her the whole story, and she said, Corey, I believe in you. Don't screw this up.
Wow.
And gave me a pat on the butt and said, go get them.
Wow.
And so that's what I did. I went to work, and I went searching for mentor. I didn't even know how I was going to do it. She's like, well, how are you going to do it? I'm like, well, I've not got that far yet, right? I just know that I'm going to be.
I'll build the wing. I'll create the wings on the way down, right?
But I mean, at that moment though, here's what's crazy. Now, a lot of people say, is the secret, the answer, the secret, those couple books that I've read those and think it and it's going to come true. Well, you got to put some action behind it. I believe you got to put some action behind that stuff. But I put so much action that everything I've ever needed has like shown up exactly when I needed it. And it's the craziest story. I think it's a God thing personally.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I put myself out there and I said I was willing to do whatever it took. And I think that's the difference between success and not so much success.
There's someone listening right now that just got chills probably because they are exactly where you were, and they're deciding. They're on that factor of, man, do I go all in? Do I push in everything? I've got kids, I got family, I got the risk involved, right? And,
yes.
The answer really comes down to, I don't think it's necessarily one size fits all. Everyone has their own situations, but I will testify to the fact that often we make excuses for all the things that we want to do in our lives, and then we wake up one day and have regrets that we didn't go forth and risk and sacrifice. And so just a kudos to you, man. I mean, so cool that you and your wife, Shelly the Rockstars, that she was supportive of you going out there and pursuing your dream, what you knew was you're going to be your path to financial freedom, to time freedom, to everything you've ever wanted. I mean, it's just incredible, man. So kudos to you.
Yeah, I can remember the countless hours sitting at my computer, sitting there doing comps, learning little areas where I got so good at a point in time where someone said, "Hey, I've got a property in this subdivision." I'm like, "Is it in the front or the back? Is it one story or two story? Does it have granite?" And once they told me all these things, I knew how much I needed to pay for it. I knew how much the average rehab was going to be. I knew how much I could sell it. I became so good because I mastered my craft, man.
Yes.
And that's what it takes. It takes that level of commitment
to
move, and now it is a journey, Sean, or Corey, it's going, let's say name, it's funny. But it's a journey into the whole process of what you're going to do. And the journey that I'm on now is I'm playing a whole different game of cash flow and multifamily.
Let's talk about that, because one of the questions I have is when I ask everyone that they come on the show is, what is your Profit Master investing strategy that's impacted your bottom line? It's one of your better strategies on making this business work. And I know that you're focused not on fix and flips or wholesale, but you're really focused on, even though you're a product of that world, you really migrated out the smart way into multifamily, which is exactly where I'm on the path. Exactly, Sean's on the path. Others I know are on the path. And so what is working right now in that pursuit that you can share, a strategy, a tactic that's working well that can benefit others that might be wanting to do that as well?
Yeah. So the strategy that I like to implement is, first of all, the ability to find private capital is probably your biggest asset that you can actively start working on now.
Okay, how do you raise private capital? What's the fastest way to raise private capital that you found that works for you?
Now, this is going to sound weird. There is no fast way, but there is the right way.
Okay.
Right? And the right way is to start asking your friends, your family, and I always end every conversation I'm having is when I'm talking about what I do in multifamily. Like, we provide solutions for investors that are tired of the stock market, right? And we do it through real estate, and we do it through passive investing through apartments that provide cash flow.
So it sounds like you have an elevator pitch down pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Like you say the same thing over and over and over again, correct?
Yep, same things over and over. And then so we're really just talking about a cash flow story. I find that investors are looking for two things. One, will I not lose my money? And two, can I make some interest? And if you can answer those two questions and, in a relatively fundamental way, that doesn't look like, we're not giving up the world. People understand apartments. People understand that if you consolidate everything into one place and have a bunch of doors in one area, that it's easier. You can talk about management. It's easier to manage everything in one spot. But it's really just the story of just sharing what you're doing with enough people. And I always believe people self-select. So when you're telling this story, you're asking the question, hey, how's the stock market treating you? And that leads to that discussion or that open-ended question where they're going to start talking about their investments.
Give me a 3 to 5 minute pitch. I'm interested. You see me in the elevator. I look like someone that you may, or maybe a friend told you to talk to me. Pitch me.
Yeah. So I was like, hey, Corey, how are you doing? How's your investments treating you nowadays?
Okay. I mean, nothing crazy, maybe 4 or 5%, 6% on some private things we've got, but, mutual funds, if you leave them there over time, they're going to produce for you. But, man, you get a beating on the stock market right now.
Yeah, I always say, do you ever feel like me? Like sometimes I wonder, what the hell my money's doing? You ever feel that way?
Yeah. Well, thank God Trump's in there, so the stock market's going crazy right now. But, there's a lot of other there's definitely a lot of other investments that, I haven't looked at. But what are you involved in?
Yeah, so, here's what I do. Actually, we help people just like you, Corey. We actually take investors that are looking to diversify their portfolio with actual real estate. And a lot of people don't even know that you can do real estate with their IRAs.
You mean real estate like apartments or houses or?
Well, yeah, we do apartments, but
okay.
You can do it on houses too. But it's really just the way of taking your real estate money or your portfolio money that you have with your stockbroker and diversifying it in actual real estate. And so we do that through a couple different multiple ways. One of it's through single family homes, but what we feel is the most safest investment is in our multifamily portfolio that we offer.
Multifamily apartments and stuff like
apartments.
That. Right? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Apartments.
You said something about an IRA or something. How can I invest out of I got some money in IRA, but I didn't know I can invest real estate. I can buy houses out of that or apartments?
Yeah, believe it or not. So, hey, Corey, I bet you if you asked your stockbroker right now if you could invest in real estate with your IRA, they would tell you no.
No, he's never told me anything about that at all,
Yeah, and the reason for that is there's a rule for that, and it's called selling away. Most stockbrokers can only sell, and when I say stockbrokers, I'm talking about financial advisors and manage money. But a lot of times they're the reason I know this is I used to be a financial advisor.
Oh, really? Who did you work for?
I worked for Edward Jones.
Oh, okay.
And so one of the things that we were not allowed to do was called sell away. In other words, I couldn't steer you to a product that I couldn't sell.
Oh, okay. You wouldn't make commission on it.
Yeah, and actually it's selling away from my brokerage, and my brokerage they don't allow that.
Right. Yeah, man.
It's
probably signed something that says you couldn't tell me about other investments. Sure.
Yeah. Now I could talk about it, but I couldn't definitely sell you like something. And as a financial advisor, I'm trained, and every financial advisor is pretty much trained this way, is to keep the money where?
In the brokerage.
In the brokerage, in my house. Okay. And believe it or not, people are just they're conditioned to do this, and so they're not going to tell you about all the other things that you can invest in because most of these things are just paper assets, right? So if I was at Edward Jones, you told me you want to do real estate, Corey, I would say, hey, Corey, I've got this wonderful REIT, a real estate investment trust.
Okay.
And that's what I would be trying to push you into. And I would tell you, oh, you're going to go off and go with somebody else? That sounds really risky.
Right.
And so, but you can actually invest in real estate with your traditional IRA. And you just have to do it through a different company. And we have partners that work with us that allow you to open up your qualified account. Qualified is just any government program that allows you to open up your money to do real estate investing. Because
is it risky? Corey, what's the risk involved? I mean, what's the potential of me losing my money? What kind of returns are we talking about here? Can I get higher than, how much higher can I get my return?
Right.
Can I get higher than 7%?
Yeah, well, I would love to talk about all this right now. I'm very regulated on what I can and cannot say because honestly, Corey, we're just kind of meeting for the first time. And the best way to get where I can share all that information is to let's like have a second meeting where I can give you a lot more detail because I am regulated by the Security and Exchange Commissions, even though I'm not a stockbroker anymore. But the investments that we do with apartments are regulated.
Okay.
And so I can't give you all the interest rates and all that stuff. I would love to. But we have to do it.
Here in the elevator, we're not going to get much done anyway, so it'd be great. We can maybe sit down and talk about this more over dinner or something like that.
And so that's basically it. I mean, we're just going to have we're going to talk enough to where you're interested, and then I'm going to pull away and say, I can't give you any more.
I like it, Corey. That's great. And I love his casual, and I love the fact that you had some great responses. And the takeaway for that, if you're, really watch what happened there, is that I wanted more, and you knew it, but you steered me in the direction where to give me more, you wanted to be in a setting where you have my full and divided attention. So that's a big key to what you just did there, and I think it's really smart, and obviously it's worked in a big way for you.
Yeah, and that's really so. All I've done is just cultivate those relationships, talk to them, and then when I go to that second meeting, after I really share more detail, like we go through the whole process, how our investments work, whatever. And again, I've never selling. Like I'm not saying, hey, this is a good thing for you, Corey. I would say, Corey, the reason I want to share this with you is because I know you have influence. I know you're the kind of person that can open up a lot of doors for me. And I want to make sure that you understand this really good. And because if you don't, then it means I need to fix it.
Right.
Right. And that's how important your input is to me. Right. And what I just asked you to do without saying it is say, hey, Corey, critically look at my stuff as I'm presenting it to you.
Yes. Absolutely.
So now you're critically looking at it. And then at the end, I'm just saying, Corey, who do you know that I should know?
Sure.
And that's my favorite close at the end.
Great close.
And people will self-select. They're like, Corey, well, you've not even asked me if I want to be in the investment.
Right. Right.
Well, so I guess you are, right?
Right. Well, I guess you're interested. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. And so I never, ever ask anybody to do my deal. I just keep going.
They ask you
if
they can be a part of it. Yeah. It's brilliant, Corey. And, that's one of the – it's a fantastic negotiation strategy, and the tactics that are involved in that have been obviously very successful for you. I think that was a great, demonstration for the pitch, and also there's some great little tactics in there. So thanks for sharing those, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome. It's awesome. Well, I want to get back to the story of have you ever raised more than $1.4 million before, because you said there's a story there. So let's hear it. Okay.
So at this point in time, remember, I'm in my single family deals. I got all my capital behind me.
Right.
At this point, I need to find an apartment deal. And I'm going to a Dave Lindahl event. I can't remember what it was called. But I decided I was going to do something different. Normally, I'm going there with everybody else, and I'm trying to find, like, the deal, or, like, the guys that are players, we'll call them, the guys that are seasoned.
Right.
This time I was like, man, I want to stand out. I want to stand out in front of the crowd.
Yes.
And so just so happens at the very first opening of the meeting, they say, does anybody want to, comment or have something to say? Well, of course I did. So I stand up in the very back of the room, and I'm like, hey, I'm Corey Peterson. I've got a crap ton of money, and I'm looking for some deals. Is there any deals out there? And so that whole week, I never paid for lunch. I never paid for dinner.
That's great.
And I sold every deal that was at that event, right?
So one of the tactics that you're doing there, again, is you're asking a question you already know the answer to. It's one of the most incredibly powerful and profitable strategies that you can use in negotiating. So continue.
I call it the Godfather.
Yeah.
Right? So, because here's the thing I realized after going through that is that because it's not even my capital, but I told everybody that I had capital, which I did.
Right.
And I could deploy it if I asked.
Sure.
And so what I realized is the money is always patient. It always has the last look. The money always is able to negotiate the best deals. The money is the money is in the money. And because I had this capital, everybody gave me their deals and their pitch.
Corey, what do you mean by that? The money's in the money.
Because I had capital, I was able to find a deal that I liked, that these guys were pitching me, and I negotiated a 75% ownership of that deal because I had the capital. In other words, they were getting ready to lose. They had $100,000 hard. They needed to close in 3 weeks. They needed $1.4 million of capital, which I had, and I negotiated 75% ownership.
Wow.
The money's in the money.
Wow.
So I always say, do you find a deal first or do you find the money? Find the money, because you can always find a deal when you have capital. You can always put yourself in a deal if you have capital.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So got that deal. So that very deal, I bought it for $3.2 million. I ended up buying out both my partners. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother segment.
And that was on top of, so there's 25% left on the deal. So you bought 12.5 each.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, but we are selling. So we bought it for 3.2. I've got it under contract right now for $8.8 million.
Drum roll, baby! Big kahuna! $8.8 million. That's what I'm talking about, my man. That's
a lot of reasons why apartments are pretty awesome.
That is free. So the time frame of that was from 2011 to now, so about 6 years.
Yep.
So
and we bought it at the end of 2011, so we'll call it. It's really about 5 years.
About 5 years. So that thing, when that goes through, that will pay you over $1 million a year of owning it.
Yes.
Profit.
It's
right?
juicy.
Actually, sorry. So you got it for 3 points. So so your profit would be $5 million. So it's going to pay you right under $1 million a year to own it. Profit.
Yes.
That is pretty incredible. So I know there's a lot of questions on, you bought it for 3 whatever, and then you value added, which is what's so powerful about apartments. Just give a broad stroke, because I know we can get granular, which I like, but give me a broad stroke on what was the value add from the point of acquisition, because for those that don't understand this game with multifamily, you can make a dollar amount when you acquire the money, usually acquire the property. So you could, let's just say you acquired something for, let's just use this. You acquired it for $3 million. So typically on $3 million, from everything that I've read and everything I'm learning more, it's between 1% and 3% a dollar amount that you get immediately whenever you close. So that could
2% for us.
2%. There you go. So 2%. So there's 60,000 right when you close, and then during the time you own it, you have a management fee. So management can be anywhere from 1% to 3% for paying you to manage the property, and that's on a yearly basis, correct?
Yep.
And then whenever you sell it, you have a dispositions fee. Often on this one, can or cannot come out in the end, but often it will come out at the end between 1% and 3% on the dispositions fee. So what did you do from the value add perspective, meaning that you bought it for 3.3, but now it's worth, why would it be worth, $8 million, $9 million, now? So you bought it at what cap rate, and you're selling it at what cap rate?
I think we bought it at a 9 cap. We're selling it at a 6.5 or 6 cap.
Okay, so the interesting for some of those that think about that, like, wait a minute, you bought it for a 9, you sell it for a 6.5. In multifamily, what's incredible about it is that you actually want to buy it for a higher cap rate, and then you want to sell it for a lower cap rate. Because when you sell it for a lower cap rate, it actually makes you a lot more money.
Lot more money.
It's reverse math for some folks.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to understand, but when you do the math, the numbers look really good when you go from 9 to 6.
Yeah, it looks really, really good. So what were some of the value adds, man?
So, okay, we bought this property. It was an REO property. It had a reputation of being a bad apple. There was drugs. There was it was about 79% occupied, so it wasn't very occupied. We had occupancy problem.
Okay.
And and really that was the two things. And so and it needed updating. Like the units inside needed like new carpet, new linoleum, new countertops, and new fixtures.
Okay.
Right. So that's what we saw. We immediately hired a sheriff to come live, a policeman to live in our property for free. Wow. We actually had their drug dogs because we knew we had a drug problem. I came up with the idea, hey, listen, you guys have drug dogs, canine units? They're like, yeah. I said, hey, can we have them at the property and do let's just run through our property and see what we can find. Wow. They're like, yeah, let's do it. So we put notices on everybody's door.
That if you have any drugs, to get them out because there's drug dogs coming, or what did you say?
Yeah, pretty much. Malden Police is going to be running their canine units tomorrow, and we just wanted to put a notice that we've been going through everybody's units.
You went from 79% to 40% occupied.
So we did have 2 move-outs in the middle of the night.
Okay. Right.
And so we'd like to say that was our problem.
Sure, and, maybe probably 80-20 rule, right? Probably.
Yeah. Yep. And so, in fact, the Malden Police was like, when he first came over, he's like, Corey, I can't tell you how many doors we kicked in over here.
Wow.
We've kicked a lot of doors.
Wow.
Now, fast forward. Now, we knew this. And so our first thought was like, hey, let's take and do a name change. And, try to rebrand this property.
Sure.
But we said, you know what? That'd be like putting lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig. Yeah. We've got to clean this thing in from the inside out. And so that's what we did. We started, once we got rid of the drugs, immediately everybody liked it. Then we started with our lighting program.
What was the time frame from getting rid of the drugs? 6 months?
No, like 1 month. Like
wow.
we did.
So you went hard and heavy. Wow. Okay.
We did not mess around. Our policemen, every night going through the breezeways, making sure there's no smoking and joking, writing people up. I mean, we policed it very, very hard. Right. Okay. And because in apartments, there's either one or two things happening. You're either managing your tenants or your tenants are managing you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so once we put on the face of this is a new owner, new systems, new procedures, you got to get in line or you can't stay here. And we actively got rid of that first year. We had a lot of turn. A lot of people had to move out.
Did you raise the rents the first year or did you do it the second year?
Really the second year. It took us the first year to start doing, we had set aside about $500,000 in CapEx for money for improvements.
Right.
And so we started just doing, blocks of units. Like, hey, let's do this building. Let's get this building right.
Right.
Let's rent it up. Rent that building up. All right, next building, rent it up.
Right.
And we had a very methodical procedure on how we did it. And one of our big things is lighting. We're a big thing on lighting. We take all the incandescent lights and we put LED lights.
And that immediately cuts down your expense on electricity, which raises your NOI.
Yep. More importantly, what it does is for our tenants, it lets them know that there's that's such a dramatic effect at night for the women that come into our property, that they're coming into the office saying, thank you. We appreciate what you're doing. We see what you're doing. We see the change.
Wow.
And that we're starting to make community. We started doing community events every month, right? Where we're giving away, we're cooking. My staff is staying extra hours. Our staff live on site. It's mandatory for us.
Wow.
You've got to live and breathe on my unit. If you're going to be managing one of my properties, you live and breathe it every day, 365.
You require that. That was a requirement.
Yes. And, it's just there's certain things that we do differently. And over time, we kept on raising rent. So here's the good thing. So when we first started, our 2-bedroom rented for $525. We rent our 2-bedroom now for $775.
Wow. That's a
That's,
huge difference.
you would not even recognize, if I showed you my demographics when we first started, the percentage of people, unit mix, and demographics to what it is now is completely different.
That's a huge difference, man. Wow.
Yeah. And so, and that's why we were able to sell it. Now we sold it at a cap rate that is ridiculous for the market, right? It's still an older property, and it was still should maybe trade at a little bit higher cap rate. But what we have is 5 years of very consistent history in our financials, and we have perfect books. Like anybody could take our books and give it to their CPA, and every dollar is accounted for.
So where did you find that CPA? Where did you find that level of help and resource and partner? Because I think that's a big part of doing this business correctly is having those books really clean.
Most good management companies are going to have an in-house bookkeeper, like a bookkeeping system.
Yep.
That's, the key is to interview lots and lots of managers, right? Property management companies. And you got to ask them detailed questions. Like, show me your books. Show me, how do you guys handle evictions? How do you handle late paying tenants? How do you collect the money? You're going to ask them lots of system. You're looking for to see if they have systems and procedures. It's the systems and procedures is what you're buying from a management company. And the training of their staff. How do they train your staff? Do they bring in trained staff into your new acquired property? Do they try to train up the people that are already there? Is it a combination? And what we've found works the best is we initially start with the people there. They almost never work out. We know this. And so we train them, but we always bring in an outside person that's in our system from one of our other properties to come in.
They can kind of audit, or they can kind of see where the holes are, where the gaps are.
Yep, and then they also know that our system's all in every shape, way, and form. So then, as our people that are on site are starting to watch this happen, they start seeing this is the way we do it. We are different, and then they start buying into the philosophy and our culture of how we operate. And we're sick about our culture.
That's awesome, man. I mean, what's interesting is I think there might be some questions on the value. So whenever you have value of multifamily, what really a big aha moment for me understanding it was this thing called forced appreciation. And
yes.
Forced appreciation happens because of your NOI, which is your net operating income, increasing. Yep. So to come up with a cap rate, a simple formula is to take your NOI and you divide it by your value. You take your NOI and you divide it by your value, and that's going to give you a cap rate. Okay, so if you take your value, to come up with your value, you can take your NOI and you can divide it by your cap rate. So just the reverse, and you can come up with your cap rate. I mean, you come up with your value. So whenever you increase your NOI, your value substantially increases. So
let's do this math. Watch this math. Let's say we have 100 doors, 100 units, right?
Yes.
And we raise the rents $25 per door.
Yes.
So 25 times 100, that's easy math. 2,500 times every month, 12 months.
12, right.
That's 30,000. Divide that by a 6 cap, 0.06. That's $500,000 of value you created that you can sell a property for
by raising your
rents $25.
So can you say that one more time just to let people resonate with that? You take your $25 increase in rents. You do that times 100
doors.
100 doors. That's
times
$2,500 a month now times 12, which is $30,000. And then you take that and you divide it by your cap rate.
0.06.
Right.
And that's $500,000.
Just by raising rents $25.
Yes. And you know what? Our tenants expect rents to go up each and every year. And guess what?
Expectancy, right. That's right.
We never disappoint them. Never. Never.
You probably heard Corey say that he had rents 500 or so, and they're up to 725, 750. So now you've bumped yours $200, And I'm guessing your amount of units is over 150 or probably
144.
Yeah. So some of the math there, if you have your calculator, it equals big. And
that's where we got that $5.5 million profit.
That's awesome, man. So raising rents, the lighting, anything else that we can take away from that? This is awesome, by the way. I'm taking lots of notes. Yeah.
So it's really just having a vision, knowing so we knew that we could get better rents. We knew that because we liked the area, it had good bones. All we needed to do was fix the perception of the property. And really, we didn't even do that much. We just put carpet. Carpet was going to have to be replaced anyways. And then we put the new wooden looking linoleum floors on. And then we didn't even replace the countertops. We actually there's a product that you can spray on top of old linoleum or countertops.
Yep.
That can make them almost look brand new, like it's like resurfacing them, and that's like $300.
Right.
Well, that's what we did, and then we painted all our old cabinetry and put new knobs, and that's really that was like a $2,000 turn per unit.
Per unit.
Yeah, and that was fairly cheap.
So people are asking, where did that money come from, Corey? Well, did you have that in reserves whenever you purchased?
That was part of our CapEx money. That was part of the CapEx. We had that $400,000.
When you say CapEx, you mean reserves?
Yeah, we call it in the apartment business. We call CapEx the money. In single family, we call it rehab money.
Yep,
that's the rehab. In apartments, you call it CapEx, capital improvements.
Capital improvements, right? Yep.
And so we set aside that money, and then we also started using operational money because when we first did this deal, we didn't realize how much money it was going to take. It was a little bit more. We did a lot of other things too. We've remodeled the laundry room. We redid we did a lot of landscaping stuff. We added grass. We took out an old dilapidated tennis court. We jackhammered all the concrete and removed it.
All of these things were done with strategy, though. If we did this, then we're going to make more money, or we're going to add a new type of tenant draw to it, right?
Yep. Everything we did was the only reason we do things in this business is to raise rents or decrease expenses. There is no other reason.
Yeah.
Raise rents, decrease expenses. That makes money on the NOI, which is all we're really looking for. I mean, as an operator, that's what I'm thinking is, what am I doing to raise rents or decrease expenses and maintain my asset? Okay. Now that's a lot of people kind of skip on that. Maintain my asset. You got to make sure that you're still putting money back into your property as you go to upkeep it and keep it nice.
Right.
If you do this right, you'll have a nice asset that looks, and so when you're ready to sell, that's why you get top dollar for it, because there is no deferred maintenance or things that are wrong with the property.
Right.
Now, I got to tell you this last piece. This is the best part of this whole deal. Ask me how much money of my own personal money I have in this deal.
I don't know if I even want to ask. So it was the acquisition was 3 point what?
It's a big goose egg, Sean.
Oh my gosh! Do you have
zero?
You literally have $0 in this deal, Corey.
Not even one. Not a dollar.
You did. So you had your time, you had your experience, and you had your ability to be able to raise money and connect the dots. Is that basically it?
First deal, yes, man.
First deal, and you're going to make a profit of over $5 million on a deal you had zero money in.
Yeah.
Dude, I love America. God bless America. Right?
Only in America.
Bless.
But
capitalism.
what I realized.
What a fantastic opportunity. What a big blessing for you, because I know how much of a giver you are.
Now, I want to back up because I don't want to have the misconception.
Sure.
But not all that $5-point-something million is mine. Okay.
Sure.
Because I have capital, right? We raised $1.6 million or $1.6 million in capital. It was initially 1.4. We raised an extra couple $100,000.
Okay.
So out of that, I got to pay that back, right? So 1.6 goes back to my capital. It's the original money.
Right.
Plus about another $500,000 to pay them all their interest on the sale.
So at the end of the day, you're still going to walk away with about 3.5, 3.5.
Yeah. Yes.
That is profit.
Yes.
That's net profit.
Yes. Yeah. I just don't want people to see, oh, you're making 5 point whatever, because it's not. But if it's three and 3.5, I'm pretty happy with that.
I can see the smile. I'd say I'd take it. Anything else before we move on? Ask you a couple more questions that I think are important, other people want to know, and you inspire me, you inspire everyone else.
I want to preface this.
You're going to be my next private lender. I appreciate that.
Yes. I did not do it for the sale, though. Okay, I've been in this game for only one reason, Corey, and that's for cash flow, right? And the only reason we're selling this property is because all my investors are really cool. There's only 6 of them in this deal. And we're going to do a 1031 exchange, and we're going to buy like a $15 to $20 million deal on our next go around, so we can make more cash flow.
Yeah, the great thing is, though, now you've got some funds, liquid, that you can put in that, put $1 million in if you want or whatever.
Yeah, and so my money's working now.
I get it. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I'm inspired by it. And
I've got 3 other deals, or 3 or 4, I think it's 3 right now, that are in some way or shape or form in that process.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome. It's inspiring. So, what's one of your greatest lessons that you've learned to get to where you are today?
The greatest lesson I've learned is to not doubt yourself.
I love that.
And not doubt your ability. And I say this because I have, right? I think everybody, if you're honest with yourself, there's times in your lives where you've almost said, boy, I can't do it.
Right.
I'm not good enough. I don't have all the things lined up.
Yes, right.
And I'm speaking to me.
Self-talk, self-doubt, self-talk, right.
And the only thing I went anyways. And I did it despite how I felt about myself. I just kept on in action. And because of that, good things happened, right? I failed a lot. I bruised my knees, but I just kept on persisting, and I did it enough that I actually become really good. And I always say, you're learning in your defeats and in your successes, right? You just grow either way. That's called experience.
Biblically, a story that we've all heard before. Certainly, as a Christian, you've heard it before. If not, then I'll give you a quick version of it. But basically, there's a story where there's a storm going on, and Jesus is in a boat, Matthew, Peter, and the disciples are in a boat, and there's a storm going on, and it's getting a little crazy. And Peter sees Jesus out there on the water, and it's just like he sees him out there in the water, and Jesus asks him to walk. He starts walking out in the water towards Jesus, and Jesus says, and at one point it says that Peter started to doubt. This is my point.
Yes.
Peter started to doubt, and he started to sink. Whenever he was asked to walk out in the water, when he got out and walk out in the water towards Jesus, it says in the Bible, he started to doubt. He started to sink. And Jesus reached out his hand, essentially, came back up. He didn't sink, obviously, and said, "Ye of little faith, why did you doubt?" Now, my whole life, I always thought that Peter doubted Jesus. But I think there's another side of that he doubted himself.
Yes.
And I think that what a testimony to think about it that way, that how much Jesus believes in you, how much God believes in us. And that's where I want that story to resonate. How much more God believes in us than we even believe in ourselves. And so just another incredible testimony for you believing in yourself, dude. And walking forth, as you were created to be a victor.
Yes.
And to inspire others, and I know for a fact, create legacy for generations to come. Not from just the money, but from the experience and from the relationships. So Just an amazing thing, man. That you're able to do that. If you had to start all over again, Corey, what would you do differently? What would you make changes in?
The only thing I would do is I wish I would have went into multifamily harder and faster, quicker. Right. That's it. I mean, I cut my teeth on the single family. I'm glad I did.
Right.
If I could go back and say, Corey, look over here a little harder, it would just be on. I could have picked up, I think, maybe 3 or 4 more deals in 2010, 11.
Right.
I'd be smiling really, really big right now. Like, yeah, that's it. But you know what? Everything happens for a reason. I truly believe this. And maybe I wasn't right, because my mindset now is it's really not about the money per se for me anymore. It's about the journey and really the story behind of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it's more than just for me personally. I want to give to my family. My goal is to retire, deal with each and every one of my brothers and sisters, my aunts, my uncles, to do apartment deals with. I want to set my whole family. I want to create a legacy that everybody has an asset that will keep them financially free.
That's awesome. What is one of your favorite motivational quotes?
It's by Homer, and it's called the journey is its reward, is the reward. And I believe it is. I believe every time I've went out and sought to do something, I believe the journey is the reward. It really is when you look back at it, when you look back on things that really were either huge successes or not, you focus, and what you remember is the hard times.
Right.
I always think about like how hard I had to work or the things that happened that were negative. And I thought about how I persevered.
Yes.
And that which gives me the most pleasure in that journey. So know that every journey has struggle. Every good story in the Bible is surrounded by chaos and struggle and strife and how you come through it. And, why should we be any different,
And one thing I say is a happy life is the appreciation of every moment. And I think that often we live in the future and we live in the past, but it's so hard it's so hard often to appreciate the moment and appreciate life as it's given to you right now, as it's happening right now. That's the beauty of the painting of life is the appreciation of each and every moment. And so I think that's incredible that you have that perspective, because it's obviously given you a way to see past the challenges and the journey, but you've seen past it, and now you understand that it's not going to be easy necessarily, but it's worth it.
Yeah, and I'm not as afraid anymore. Like I used to be afraid a lot. I was like, man, I'm scared, I'm nervous, and I still get that sometimes. Like I'm getting ready to do a $22 million deal.
Right.
It's the biggest deal that I've ever done.
Yeah,
and
makes your butt clench a little bit.
Yeah, so I go back into like I'm a little nervous, I'm a little scared,
right?
But but I don't let it overwhelm me. I used to let that stuff overwhelm me almost to the point where I couldn't sleep at night. I sleep like a baby.
That's great.
And all I do is just I give it to God, truly, right? Who am I? I'm just a vessel. And my job is just to go out and toil during the day, and try to give glory to Him. And when I do that right, I do it from the right heart and the right mindset. It really doesn't matter the outcome. And most of the time, the outcome's good, And so I'm happy with that.
I love that, man. What books do you recommend besides Rich Dad Poor Dad that's really changed your life?
I like The Richest Man in Babylon. That's an old one, but a good one. I get 1/10 of everything I make is mine to keep. I love that little story in there. I like, gosh, I got so many of them. Look at my, The Answer, I'm trying to think of one that, this is going to sound corny. I like the Bible, dude.
It's not going to sound corny at all. I mean, I've read the Bible several times, and I think the stories in it. It's a living word, so that doesn't sound corny at all.
It gives me goosebumps a lot of times when I go back and I just start reading. I'll just pick up, it's like, hey, I want to, get into the book of Acts or something, and just start reading. And you start staring, getting those stories, and then you start applying it to your daily lives.
Right.
And I find there's so much truth in that stuff that you're like, wow. And it helps me be a more humble servant. It helps me just when I'm dealing with people to be compassionate. I always feel like in this day, shape, and age, we're always focused. So many people are focused on themselves.
Yes.
And that we got to try to break away from that and focus on how can we help others and how can we help someone's day. Maybe it's just by smiling, but you can impact people more than you'll ever know.
True.
Just by what you do in your daily.
That's true. Have you ever heard of a parallel Bible?
Huh.
So it's pretty interesting. So see, it's called the Comparison Study Bible. And
wow.
So when you open it up, you see 4 different versions of the same verse.
Oh, wow.
Four different versions. So you can see King James,
right.
Amplified, New American Standard, and New International, and you can get different parallel Bibles. But what's interesting about it is that if you read the verse in one way in King James, it looks completely different in the New International. And I find that it's a great way to really challenge the way that you think whenever you're going through scriptures and one scripture particularly stands out to you. You can go in there and look at the other versions of that scripture and get another context from it, which is
man, that's cool. Awesome. Yeah.
Do you have a mobile app that you use every day in your business, Corey?
No. my bank account, my first bank, awesome. and my Facebook.
Absolutely. We got to figure out a way to talk to the brothers. The brothers own MidFirst Bank.
Oh, right? No doubt.
Two brothers own MidFirst Bank. They bought a bunch of real estate back in not in the crash, but in the Resolution Trust days. And they actually, two brothers. One started MidFirst Bank, and the other one started that other mortgage side that they do. So,
well, I just know that we're originally from Oklahoma. That's why we have a MidFirst Bank account, right. And they just so happened to open up a lot of branches in Phoenix. So we're like, hell yeah, and that's why I have my OU card.
All right, OU, Oklahoma City.
Let me see if I can produce it. There we go.
Nice. I'm going to screen capture that. That's going to be the screen capture. What, do you get 8 hours? You said you sleep like a baby. So do you get 8 hours of sleep every night?
Always. I go to bed probably around, I'm a later cat. So we go to bed 11:30ish, 12. Yeah. I wake up at 7, right? So 7.
What's your morning routine?
Start the day.
Do you have a morning routine?
Have some coffee, I'm starting a new routine right now. So I'm in limbo. We're starting to do, I'm doing this with my wife. What's it called? It's not Pilates, but it's like, Pure Barre. I'm doing Pure Barre, dude.
I have no idea what that is, but is it like yoga?
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's something with my wife, and I think I'm the only dude there. And, I'm not proud of this moment, but it makes her happy. Okay. And I'm happy, so, it's all good.
That's good.
Yeah, that one makes me sweat.
What point would you recommend hiring a mentor? Obviously, how important has that been to your success?
Dude, the mentor is the key. It really is. It's what will change your life, I believe.
Why do you say that? Why do you say it's the key?
Because a mentor has an ability to go into the future of things you're going to do and pull back nuggets of wisdom. Like, I remember when Dave Lindahl told me one day, I said, Dave, I got this deal. And I sent it to him, and he's like, Corey, that's not a deal. And here's why. and this, and it's going to be over expensive, and you're not going to like that deal. Don't do that deal. You do that deal, I'm not going to mentor you no more.
Wow.
And so I didn't do it. And so
Right.
someone else bought it. Someone that I know bought it. And I swear everything that Dave said was going to happen happened.
Wow.
And to this day, I was like, so sometimes a mentor can keep you from making the move that's going to put you out of real estate.
Right.
In the beginning, that it doesn't take much to maybe get you out of the game.
Right.
And so a mentor really, I think, has the ability to guide you, teach you, coach you, and to keep you from making the big mistakes. Now, you got to still make some of your small mistakes, but the big ones you can a lot of times avoid with a mentor, and you just get there faster, I believe.
Right. I agree with that totally. If you had to summarize it, why do you do what you do?
Because I wanted two things that only most people dream of: time and money. And I wanted to have some time to spend some of my money. And I realized that real estate allowed me to have both. And that's what I got from Rich Dad Poor Dad. And my name of my company is called Kahuna Investments. I wanted to be the big kahuna. I wanted to be my kid's dad. I wanted the time freedom to do what I wanted to do. And if I didn't want to do it, to say, I ain't doing it. And to this day, that's how I live, man. I really live a simple life. I don't have a big office. I don't have people that I have to be responsible to. I third party a lot of my stuff out because I want to have that autonomy to be like my own dude. If we want to go to Vegas on Friday, like we are, we're going to go and we're going to stay till, after the 4th.
Right.
And I'm not worried about my whole operation. Everybody's doing their job.
It's a freedom thing, right? It's totally, what are you most grateful for?
My wife. God put my wife in my spot. I don't know why, but I'm so grateful that she believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. There were some times in our relationship where this is how cool my wife was. I mean, I was a used car salesman when I met my wife. She was the cool chick that would take her card and slip it underneath the table so I could pay on my side. Right. And it's been that way she's just been, I could get emotional about that because she really had my back so much and just has been so faithful. And I honestly feel like God sent her on this earth to be my partner. And I am thankful for that because I wouldn't be anything without her, truly.
It's such a cool testimony with that. And, one thing you guys shared was your love journal. And Leslie and I have been going through that love journal. And I tell you, it's really powerful on how you and Shelly have put together rituals and put together certain things that protect your relationship. And whenever your spouse is also your business partner and she runs, some of the aspects of those things, it's crucial that you protect that relationship and you honor that relationship and you reward and you build up that relationship because it's so important and so crucial to the other parts of the success of your life.
Yeah, it's the juice that's worth the squeeze, dude.
So that's the juice that's worth the squeeze. I think that's a great way to tie this thing up. How can we get in touch with you? What can we do to serve you, Corey? It's been an awesome interview. I've taken a lot of notes. We're gonna have a lot of notes on the show notes. What can we do to serve you, man?
Hey, if you guys want to learn, we're getting ready to kick off some education stuff on multifamily. You'll find that at kahunawealthbuilders.com. And really, if you want to go there, we're giving away some free video series on how to find deals and how to find money.
Kahuna Wealth Builders.
Yep.
Got it. That's awesome, man. And I know you're coming up with a book as well. When is your book going to be out? The
book should be ready in about 4 weeks. We're in final editing mode. It's called Why the Rich Get Richer, The Secrets to Cash Flowing Apartments. And then we're getting ready to launch a podcast that, you got me going on why I need to do a podcast. And I believe you're right. And we actually come up with a slogan with your paradise is possible. And I want to thank you for that because I think it's so powerful.
I love it, man. I absolutely love it because when I think about everything you're doing, your logo, the Big Kahuna, it's all about, whenever people think about paradise, it's sitting on the beach, drinking a margarita, or just with the sun on, just chilling and by the ocean. And but I think so many people feel like it's so far away that it's not possible for them. And I love that tagline, man. So I think that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it is, man.
Love that. Well, cool. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for taking the time to be on here. I love you, man. I'm so excited for things that are going on with your life and you and Shelly. And I saw follow you on Facebook, and you got a big family, and just living a quote regular life, but on your terms. And I think that's so powerful, man. You're such an inspiration, and I can learn a ton of stuff from you. I'm so excited that we're in each other's lives, and it's exciting, man. So thank you for taking the time truly to be on here and go through this with me, with all of us on here. I really appreciate it.
Rock and roll, brother.
All right. So make sure you are on the next Real Estate Investing Profits podcast series, where we're going to continue to bring phenomenal guests, just like Corey, to tell you things that are working and give you some inspiration and some things to make decisions about. So until then, remember, be a servant. Thanks again, Mr. Big Kahuna.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, bye now.
Hi, this is Corey Boatwright, and I have a quick question for you. What is the fastest way to reach your goals? Is it to work harder, work smarter, use system and processes, or hire rock star employees? What about just making more money? Actually, it's none of that. Those things are a byproduct of the one success component that every real estate investor or business owner that I know all have in common. And the answer is clarity. Complete laser focus on what you want, why you want it, and what are you willing to do to get it. So where do you find clarity? By hiring a coach and mentor. Now, could you reach the level of success that you want to achieve by doing this all on your own? The Lone Ranger. Well, maybe, but do you think it would take you double or even triple the time to achieve it compared to hiring a coach and mentor to help guide your path, provide proven instruction with a tailored blueprint that you could follow for building a real estate business that supports your lifestyle and helps you reach your financial and personal goals? Absolutely. Here's the fact. Time isn't recyclable. So I would like to ask you to make good use of it and extend a personal invitation for you to book a phone coaching strategy session by going to callwithcorey.com. That's callwithcorey, Corey spelled CORY.com. I'm going to ask you a few quick questions on that page, and we're going to go over and see how we can make sure that your business is on path to reach the goals that you want this year. So go to callwithcorey.com, that's CORY, and book your phone coaching strategy session today. Remember, be a servant, and I'll see you on there.
You've been listening to another Real Estate Investing Profits Master Podcast Series. To receive your free real estate book, Down and Dirty, Ultimate Real Estate Investing Quick Start Guide, how to quit your job to start flipping houses in 90 days or less, head online and go to realestateinvestingprofits.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Real Estate Investing Profits. Thanks again for listening, and stay tuned for our next episode.